This is just a quick video, guys. Nothing too much. I just finished doing my Part 3 Mezco Cinema of Fear Series 4 Part 3D, Jason Voorhees, which I'll bring into the camera right now. Once again, really nice character, really nice figure, I should say. And it's unfortunate that I rambled as long as I did for this video because I really wanted to touch more base on the figure itself. Sadly, I ran out of time though. But one thing I wanted to do, if I can get in the stand now, one thing I did want to do after I shot the video was that I wanted to bring all the other figures in the waves out just so you can give you guys a comparison. So there we have Part 3, and next I'll bring in Part 4, Jason, from the final chapter. I'll bring in Jason from Part 6, Jason Lives. Bring in Part 9, or just Jason Goes to Hell. And then I'll also bring in Jason from the remake, just to give you guys a full spectrum of comparisons between the 5 figures now. I think the Part 3 really goes well with the rest of the other Jasons here. He's different. He's different enough that he stands on his own. He doesn't look too much like Part 4 and Part 6. And the interesting thing too is now that I have Part 3, the more I look at the mask and on the head sculpt on this figure, the more I actually prefer this over Part 4. As you'll know from my other videos, the one thing I really liked about Part 4 was I love the mask and I like the head sculpt. And I think now that I've compared it to Part 3, I almost prefer, I think, Part 3's mask a little bit more, surprisingly enough. But so there you have just a comparison videos on all the Jasons thus far. The only Jasons that we still haven't received from the Mezco Cinema of Fear line is technically, if you want to count it, we haven't received a Pamela Voorhees or a Sack Jason from Part 2. Now granted, one could just say that, even though Mezco hasn't released it, you can get the Pamela and the Sack Jason from Part 2 in the 2-pack Pamela Jason from Neca. Neca also did release the Sack Jason on his own in the Cult Classics line. So I mean, if they never release it, I'm not too upset over it because you can always just include those figures as part of the line. Those aside though, now that we've got Part 3, Part 4, and Part 6, obviously the one that's missing right here is the very, I would say the very overlooked but now appreciated by fans, Part 5 Roy Jason. And I'm really hoping they're going to release that Roy figure because I think he's very different than the other figures. The fact that he has the mechanics one-piece suit, I guess the mechanics suit, and then his mask is a little different with the blue stripes rather than the red. And then of course once we got 3, 4, if we get the 5 Jason, the Roy Jason, we have 6. I don't know. I'm hoping we're going to get a Part 7 New Blood Jason. The only New Blood Jason we have so far in plastic form is the Cult Classics Jason, which if you've seen my review of the New Blood Jason, he is quite a bit taller and larger in scale. Doesn't quite go in, I think, well with the rest of the series here. So there's Part 7. Part 8 I'm really hoping for. If anything, I want to get a Part 7 or Part 5 and a Part 8. I really like the look of the Jason Takes Manhattan Jason. I really like the sleeves where you saw his arms, kind of the decayed arms. And I also really like the yellow, kind of gold colored hockey mask, which is very different than the other Jasons. And even though the movie, my girlfriend, I argue this point all the time, my ex-girlfriend, the one I used to watch horror movies with a lot, she loved Part 8. And I watched Part 8 and I no matter how many times I watch Part 8, I just cannot get into that movie. And I'm just so disappointed that most of it was on the boat. And I know everybody always says the same thing. Most of it was on the boat. I know due to budget and everything else. but I'm going off on a tangent here. But I definitely like to get a part 8, and then we have part 9, and then the only other one after that, if you exclude Freddy vs. Jason, because there was a NECA box set which I've reviewed. But then the only other one that I'd like to get is the 2 versions of the Jason X. The regular Jason, when he was frozen, and then he was brought on board the space station, and just before he became the Uber Jason, and then Uber Jason as well. So at the end of the day, the only figures we still need to get from the waves is the Part 5 Roy Jason, the Part 7 very cool Jason, the New Blood Jason, Part 8, which would be the Jason Takes Manhattan. We have Part 9. Part 10, the regular Jason, as well as the Uber Jason. Technically, we have part Jason Goes to Hell if you include the Freddy vs. Jason, or the Freddy vs. Jason 2-pack. We'll have the Jason from that movie. And then the only other one is the remake Jason, which has already been released by Mezco. So there's just a quick video, and I really shouldn't say quick because I did ramble on, but there's just a timeline of all the figures so far released. So if anybody has asked, well, what other figures of Jason has come out, I hope that has answered your questions. And this is a plea to Mezco to keep releasing the Jason figures so that we can still get a Part 5, a Part 8, Jason 10 or Jason X, 2 versions, and of course Part 7. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. And with that, keep watching my videos. I'm going to have much more horror movie figures on the way. And with that, I'll see you guys next time.